A controversy that I see a lot on social media these days is that people don't know who they are. They don't know how to express themselves. It's like a insult that people tend to throw at people right now, like, oh, you don't know who you are, that's why you're miserable in working class, like that's the reason why you don't get people's attention. But it's not true. It's not true at all. I'm someone that knows exactly who they are, probably more than at least half the celebrities that are just doing typical SNL skits just because that's what celebrities are supposed to do. I have a very strong sense of self. I have a lot to say, a lot of character, a lot of imagination, ideas. I'm never bored, I'm never empty, I'm always working on something, I'm always trying to strive to improve my mental health and my creative health and spiritual health in some way. And yet, every time I've ever expressed myself my whole life, I've either been ignored, have not been seen, or I've been actively bullied and called worthless and like nobody, and been told directly that nobody cares. And I know that I'm one of millions, if not billions, of people with the same experience. And I've been crying all day today, this morning, and I never do this these days, but I have been sober and bawling my eyes out all day today because it's just so hard being working class and to deal with the empty lovelessness of either being ignored or made fun of the very few times you get to actually talk about your passions, your personality, your sense of humor. And every time I open up Twitter, it's just the same influencers over and over again, the same celebrities. Anywhere I go, literally anywhere, even like the niche online communities I have talk about the A-list pop stars, and it's just so it's such a gray, boring world. But worse than that, it's a very manipulative world. It really convinces people that they have nothing interesting to say, they don't have anything to offer other than being a corporate slave. And I have been in severe depression and suffering today, and I've made a habit of ranting about it on the internet, only to realize over a period of time that for most of us that's nothing also. I see people with followings all day, every day, with people telling them that they're such inspiration, they're such a wonder, and yet there's so many of us out there that when we express ourselves, it's either a ghost, crickets, or it's people bullying or invalidating us, and it is the most soul-crushing, devastating thing that could ever possibly happen to a person on a spiritual level, which, whether people admit it or not, is really the second worst thing that could ever happen to you. The first worst is physical trauma, obviously, but the second worst is spiritual and self-enlightenment trauma. And I know that there's no point in posting this video, but it's just funny to me because I've been spending all day bawling my eyes out, severely depressed. And I go on social media and I see people that are regular people like me posting and getting praised and validated. And there's so many people like me that just post and it's just being bullied or ignored. And it's just interesting the way that that works out for certain people. I'm always wondering about what I did wrong, how I am wrong, what I do that's wrong, in general. Because I don't really seem to be that different from people that, people care about or connect with, and yet I'm one of the many people that wake up every day in severe depression and suffering and anxiety. So much to the point that it goes into physical trauma just because I've been told my whole life that my humanity and personality basically does not matter and is not good enough, and I don't know why that is. And I almost wish at this point that someone would just physically lie out for me, like, you do this wrong, you do that wrong, you do this wrong, and that's the reason why your humanity doesn't matter while other people are celebrated and cared about and thriving. Because I really want to know, and I want to know what about me is so unlovable and so cringe and so terrible that so many of us are living in complete empty invisibility while other people are praised. I don't know if it's a technicality thing, I don't know if it's where I was placed in life and real life, probably both. But it's the most dehumanizing thing, and I have disorganized thought, severe anxiety, depression that I deal with every day because of it, and all I want is just the simplicity of being told that my thoughts, my creativity, my humanity is more than being a corporate worker, and yet all I ever hear is the opposite. And you go on the internet and you see people say things like, this influencer will be remembered forever, this other person will be remembered forever, and you're just sitting there at your terrible job or in your terrible personal life. I had a guy literally tell me today that dating is only for the rich and the beautiful, and that regular people don't get a life. And I used to rant about it on TikTok a lot and everywhere I could get, but I've realized that ranting on the internet doesn't matter. It's an illusion that it gives most of us a voice. And I don't know why that is, but It's very, very strange, and it's very disheartening, and it's very soul crushing and destroying. And I remember the days when I didn't even used to have TikTok or various platforms to post, and unfortunately, I fall into the bucket where nobody cares, one like per video. And it's given me a lot of personality disorders over the years. Like, I don't feel real a lot of the time. I feel a lot of anxiety, severe depression. I can't sleep at night. I have psychotic nightmares because I have no sense of community, no self-esteem. I'm not recognized as anyone or anything, and I'm told over and over again, like, oh, it's your fault, you just don't have it in you to be loved or cared about. Because that's where we've gone. We've gone in the direction of, like, only the rich and the famous are able to have the money for families, for a decent, happy life, for a healthy balance, to be listened to and heard. And I really wish that something would be done about it, but it's just getting worse and worse. And I know that posting on the internet doesn't do jack shit. But sometimes it's just nice to scream about it and to role play as if I did matter. And if anybody else feels the same way, I just wish that they could know that at the very least they're not alone, but being a nobody, they probably don't even care about what I think either. So I guess it's just for myself, as with everything.